Hi, I'm Richard Karn, and you may have seen me on TV talking about the world's #1 expandable garden hose. Well, the brand new Pocket Hose Copperhead with Pocket Pivot is here, and it's a total game changer. Old-fashioned hoses get kinks and creases at the spigot, but the Copperhead's Pocket Pivot swivels 360 degrees for full water flow and freedom to water with ease all around your home. When you're all done, this rust-proof anti-burst hose shrinks back down to pocket size for effortless handling and tidy storage. Plus, your super light and ultra durable Pocket Hose Copperhead is backed with a 10-year warranty. What could be better than that? I'll tell you what, an exciting radio exclusive offer just for you. For a limited time, you can get a free Pocket Pivot and their 10-pattern sprayer with the purchase of any size Copperhead hose. Just text WATER to 64,000. That's WATER to 64,000 for your 2 free gifts with purchase. WATER to 64,000.
By texting 64,000, you agree to receive recurring automated marketing messages from Pocket Hose. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase required. Terms apply. Available at pockethose.com/terms.
Hi, guys. Welcome to Creators to Creators today. Today, we have a special guest.
Yes, Eddie Vigil the Fifth is my name.
It's like a name that's like, if you hear the name, you're like, that person is definitely either a professor or someone in the industry. Like, you just have a very important name. I want to know more.
Yeah, I mean, no, for sure. I dig it too. I like it. Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on. This is great. And I mean, I saw you on the gram for a while, and like you do a lot, and you're in the industry. You wear many hats. You're a man of many talents. I wonder, so I like to start like with all my guests, growing up, what was that like, and where are you from? And, how was your childhood?
I'm a filmmaker in Los Angeles, California. I am a director, and I also freelance as a script supervisor. So I balance currently those two lives as I'm growing and learning and making stuff. Okay, and then you ask about, sorry to recap the question. It's my past is my start. Is that what we're looking for?
Yeah. Like, how was your childhood like? And like, I wonder how every people who, I think everybody who comes to the industry, they have like who's in the film industry. I wonder about their childhood and what like the developments and what made you kind of led you in that. Was it when you were younger, or did you find it when you got older,
Okay.
That kind of thing?
Yeah, so I guess when I look back at my younger self and think about how I got to where I am right now, I think about, I don't know, little Eddie. He was very much into the make-believe part of like the toys and stuff. Like, I know I have a younger brother, 3 years younger than me, so we grew up very close, and I grew up in New Mexico, so like my early childhood, very small town, and him and I had our favorite stuffed animals, and we would take them on adventures all the time, and we would kind of story tell through our characters, and they would get in misadventures and be super cool, and whatever the stuff that kids do with stuffed animals. Like, that was always a big part, no, for sure, of growing up. As I got older, I know that I had dreams of like, I enjoyed writing as a kid. I know, like, my creative writing classes were always some of my favorites, and at home I would try to develop stories on like the adventures of our little ragtag group of toys and stuff. And as a kid, I didn't know how to finish stories. I could start them, but I didn't know structure. I didn't know like what a story was. It was just like, oh, they venture off, and then I would, a few pages in, I would lose steam and give up. But I had the inkling there, so I was always doing stuff like that. In middle school, I learned a little bit of editing in the video field with in a class where we kind of did, the little local news, little
Aw.
school news segments and stuff. So fell in love with
Awesome.
editing there. In high school, revisited a little bit more with like a Shakespeare class where they asked us to condense a Shakespeare play into, like a 5-minute video or things like that, where I was like, all right, this keeps, it was a recurring theme where it would pop up. It wasn't like a dream growing up necessarily. I didn't know I wanted to be a filmmaker
Mm.
because I didn't know what was entailed in the job or what jobs were available. Um, and I went to college for engineering and kind of,
Wow.
I don't really remember what the plan was. I think the plan, like the track was mining engineering. So I
Nice.
took a 5-year track, lots of math classes, no creative stuff going on whatsoever, really.
Wow.
And it wasn't until like the last year that I was like, I need some creative. So I took an acting class, and that kind of reinvigorated my passion on the creative, like self side. And that relit the fire. I tried being an actor first. I didn't like it
Mhm.
whatsoever. But that helped with the director side. And I did it
Right.
for like a year and a half or so. I took scene study classes,
Nice.
and after college, yeah, I didn't end up going into mining. I didn't do the engineering track. Whole long story there too. Um, but I stayed in town. I stayed in Reno for 5 years,
Wow.
making stuff with the community. And we can dive into that for sure on how I was able to gain experience and what that was like. But eventually I felt like I reached my cap in Reno, and then I eventually jumped to Los Angeles.
I'm so curious. I love what you
Yeah.
said. You reached your cap. How did you know that that was like, okay, now I'm done here. I think it's time for a new chapter in my life.
It had been on the horizon for a long time. Like it was something I knew had to happen eventually, one way or
Mhm.
another. And there was that I think, it's the thing that we all kind of feel when you're trying to get to the next level. There's this fear of, am I ready? Can I do this? What if I fail? Like all that kind of stuff kind of comes up.
Yeah.
So I know like I did everything in my power at the time, I felt, to prepare myself for that. Like I think the thing for me was I had this group because I grew up in New Mexico. We moved to Reno. Reno's kind of close to LA. It's like a day trip away, long day trip away. And I founded this group called the Reno Film Collective, where it was like, we all volunteer our time and come together to make stuff. So I was like the showrunner, producer type that
Nice.
coordinated everybody over and over and over again. So I didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't know I was being a producer. I didn't know I was being an assistant director. I didn't really know, whatever. The issue became that I was realizing, people come in, they make stuff because it's like a non-film town. It's a hobbyist town. So
Right.
I would, I wanted to grow my own experience. And through that, I was teaching a lot of people to help bring them up to like, okay, I know this. I want you to know it too.
Right.
And it was becoming a consistent theme where I would teach people stuff, and then they wouldn't show up anymore. And then I get new people, teach them stuff, and then they'd go aside and I'd bring in new people. So at a certain point, I'm like, I'm not really gaining anything anymore. Like I enjoy teaching and giving back to people. And, some people stick around, but I was like, well, I don't really have any mentors pushing me. I want to be pushed. So that was kind of the final clincher was I had enough friends that had made the jump that I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, let's do it. Let's do it.
It's time.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. So okay, so now you leave um and you go to Los Angeles. Did you like plan it? Did you say, okay, I'm gonna just move there, get me a place, and or just hop at someone's house and say, I'm gonna stay here for a bit and then figure it out from there? Or like what did that
Okay.
look like?
Yes, the move itself. Okay. So while in Reno, it kind of lines up pretty nicely actually, where
Nice.
I mean, as I don't know, like in hindsight, it worked out. In the moment, I don't know how it felt, but I had okay, so I was reaching that cap already anyway, right? And then I ended up landing on not many feature films shot in the area, but there was one that came kind of at the right time too. It was like a $7 million indie was filming in the area, and I was one of the very few freelance filmmakers in town, and was already running this collective. So when they were looking for, local people to help facilitate, the lower tiers of crew like PAs and stuff and whatnot, I was one of the first people in the door. And through that experience, I ended up landing as the personal assistant to the director.
Nice.
And through that, I got my first encounter, like, because I'm being their assistant, I'm always close. Like, I'm in Video Village a lot. I'm seeing things without the pressure of really doing anything because I'm just
Yeah.
chilling, helping the director. Um, so I met my first script supervisor. Was kind of the big clincher. Was I'm like, who's this person on their iPad just swiping away and doing all this stuff? It's very mysterious, and she's very cool. So she got sick one weekend, and there's nobody in town to really back her up. There's no other script supervisors in the area, so she's like, just have Eddie do it. Like, he's been asking lots of questions,
Nice.
and so she gave me the rundown and threw me in for the weekend, and she got my notes in, and she was telling me, she said, this is really good. This is what you do now. And
Nice. I love that.
so then she recommended a workshop. The instructor that instructed her, she recommended me to her. So as soon as we wrapped, like, her instructor's in Santa Monica. So once we wrapped, I took the workshop in Los Angeles. So I came down with that. So I guess that's a long story to say. Um, I was able to develop pockets. I was freelancing already in Reno, so there's some productions from LA that would go up, and I would PA on their things and make, little connections with different coordinators and stuff that way. Plus meeting this crew from this one feature that had a lot of LA crew, and then doing the workshop in Los Angeles as a script supervisor. I joined that community too.
That's great.
So when planning the move, I just hit up every single person that I knew, and I had known, enough spattering of people too. It's like, I'm coming down, let's get coffee. And but yeah, so I luckily had enough of a foundation. I didn't I and it's worked out. It's been very nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I
it's
love that.
crazy.
That's great. So now you're script supervising, and you're in the thick of it, and that world. So you love it. Now with directing and
Mhm.
transitioning to that and making your own. I mean, you have a lot of credits. You've directed a lot. Love your shorts, by the way. Very fun. Very like, I love the comedic element. I also love your feature that you did. That I'll get into in a minute, but yeah, it's your work it's a great work of art that you have there. I wonder, when it comes to directing and getting into that world, what inspired you, and how did you like find that lane, like, okay, this is what I like, this is what I want to make? Or is there, I mean, with some directors, is it like, okay, I want to tell this kind of story or these kind of stories in a certain genre? Or do you what's your process when it comes to that directing? And
Okay, so the directing track, that's the question, isn't it? Is what it's just like any other art form. Like, when pursuing
yeah.
acting too, is like, how do I stand out? What everybody looks like me already, or whatever the
Yeah.
thing is, like, what do I bring to the table that's unique and different?
Yeah.
I know for me, a big lesson that I was learning early on, like, soon after college and whatnot was all that self-discovery
Yeah.
version of just who am I? Like if you don't know who you are and the like just existing in life takes a lot of knowing thyself and being comfortable with thyself. So
Yes.
I know for me, a thing that was always in the back of my mind was like my shyness and like this natural awkwardness that I've always had. Like I just, just being called a weird on occasion, many
Aw.
occasions, either positively or negatively. Like, there's always been this awkwardness that has surrounded my aura, if you will. So it's just been more about leaning into that and being like, all right, well, I think like this just comes naturally. And like these comedic moments are not the standard laugh out loud comedic moments, but these are moments that make me laugh. So
Yeah,
it's just understanding what I like and what's funny to me. And
I love that.
practicing years and years in the writing and the directing to just how do I pull that out in other people is just the thing.
Yeah.
So um that's the root of it, at least. And just I'm trying to perfect that is the journey.
Well,
Yeah.
you're doing great. You're doing a fantastic job. Seriously, fantastic work. Um, I loved your shorts, and I love the one with the girl that she's having a conversation with herself. And then she's talking to herself. I love that aspect, and she's like asking herself a question, and they're just having this dialogue, and she's like, "Thanks, I got it." And she runs, and then it's like, then she's like, "Oh no, I just wanted to ask you about like, what do you want on your sandwich?" She's like, "1 second." It just like I was like, "This is great!"
Yeah.
Like I love it. It's really fun, and it's like, yeah, I think I've had those moments of having conversations with myself. I'm like, oh, okay, Meosha, get it together, you know. So I
Hmm.
did see some mirror of myself in that too. But I really love just the elements of your shorts. So getting into short films, what made you want to just like was it more just to develop that skill, or did you really like short form stories and then moving into feature films? Is that kind of how it was? Or
um yeah, I mean, for me, I am a planner type. Like, I
Mm,
guess that's kind of why acting didn't work for me, or I didn't like it, was I was too in my head of like the whole process of everything. So uh for me, I've always looked at this filmmaking process as a craft.
mm,
Like uh you don't you're not going to get it right perfectly on your first go around. It's a tool set that you need to develop. And I kind of I knew this 100% somehow from the beginning. Was I'm just like, I can't expect to be winning an Oscar right now. Like I don't even know how to run a set. I don't know anything. I'm so scared. Um, so I would just the idea was biting off little by little and taking baby steps towards developing the confidence to where I could handle a larger narrative. So that's why short films was, again, I was in a non-film town working with a community,
mm,
and it was like, what is possible? What can we do? And starting
yeah.
small with like 1 day short films and expanding to 2 day short films to expanding to let's try 10 days now. We've conquered that. Let's extend it out. And
That's great.
so that's yeah. And then I held on to doing the feature until I got to Los Angeles. Like I procrastinated on
Nice.
that one for a long time because I'm just like, I understood like you can't just get volunteers and make a movie. It's you need extended commitment. It's different.
Right. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. So the feature film that you did
Mhm.
with I saw some elements. Oh, what inspired that story? I'm curious because I was like, there was a lot of like there's so many movies that I watch and then you're like, wow, like this was the phobia that she had of going outside, and how, that's a real thing for some people. Like they can't actually make that jump and that leap. But I loved that, she finally does, and then she
Spoilers. I'm just
conquered.
kidding. I'm just
Oh
kidding.
crap.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. The
Oh
joke.
man, I forgot. Right. Okay. Sorry. Um, Sorry about that.
Just kidding.
But what made you say, yes, this is going to be, I want to make the story, this speaks to me, and why
Yes.
that particular story?
Okay. All right. Okay. So context. Okay, first of all, the movie's called It's on the Inside. It's currently available on Amazon Prime Video. Check it out, people.
Yes, go watch
Um,
it.
So context was I just moved to Los Angeles, fresh in LA, and I was working as a script supervisor, and I'm like, I heard enough people were poking me about like, make your movie already, make a movie, do it already. And I'm like, fine, okay, I'm ready. I finally had that conversation in my head where it's like, okay, it's time. And then
Yeah.
it clicked. And then it was 2019. So this was the year before the pandemic hit.
Wow.
So if you watch it now, it could feel very much like this is a COVID story, but it is
Right.
not. It was written and made pre-COVID. Okay, so for me, it came down to, again, I crowdfunded from, again, I held off on that too. Like everything we had made in the past was all volunteer based. And if anything, I put money in to feed people and stuff. But for this one, I was like, we need more money. It's a feature. So I crowdfunded and got a budget. So regardless, it was the deal was, in my head, was just make a movie this year, 2019. This is the year of making a movie. You've got to shoot it and wrap it before the end of the year was the goal. And I didn't have a story. So step one was I needed a story. And I thought about, all right, who can I rely on as actors to, like, okay, what cast do I have to work with here, and what locations do I have at my disposal? I'm new here. I know a few people. So I was like, okay, great. Michelle Hinsberg is the lead actor. She plays Rachel, the agoraphobic life coach. And I knew that I could rely on her to, commit that much to, because she was also new in LA, and it's the same thing, is you want people that are hungry and that are going to show up and give it their all. And so I have her. I kind of know a lot of her personality, and so leaning into the anxieties was definitely something that I thought was a story worth telling, because we all battle through fears and things that cripple us in different ways, and leaning into that version of myself. I know that Michelle has her own experiences with anxiety, so I was like, all right, I love just that kind of initial thing. Plus, structurally speaking, for the producibility of the film, it's very helpful on the budget that we had to keep a single character in a single location for a long time. So that also plays a big part of it, and just trying to find the right elements to make it to where we don't get sick of seeing this character in the same space, and trying to keep it interesting is the challenge.
You did that. Very, very nicely done. Very nicely done. I enjoyed it. It was really fun. It was a really good watch. So definitely go watch it. Everyone listening, go watch it. So that comes out now. A big part of making a film and getting it, is getting it out there, right? And finding the distribution, or finding a platform for it to live, for it to be seen, right? That's the goal, is having it viewed and recognized at some level, some capacity. I did see who was distributed by, which I definitely know that company very well.
Hmm.
That's awesome. That how did you find that? Did you go out looking? Did you already know someone that knew the company, or did you just kind of ship it around different places to see whoever
Okay.
bites?
Yeah, so the I call them a, I don't know, a little indie distributor, Leo Mark Studios, is that, yeah. So they're the
Yeah,
ones who ended up helping connect the dots on getting it out there, which is great and
nice.
lovely. Um, I would say I always boil things down to what's the objective here, right?
Yeah,
With making Insults on the Inside, the objective was just prove to yourself that you can direct a movie and get a movie done. That was the goal.
yeah.
So I hadn't thought or cared to, like, honestly, too much about it being picked up, or people like, we, like, worst case scenario in my view was the movie's done. And I could send direct links to people that I did want to see it. Like, that was
I see.
kind of the my expectations was, I'm not expecting to make money on this. I just wanted to, again, get the experience of doing it, get this weight off of my chest and off my back, that okay, I've directed a feature. Oh my gosh, great. That was so scary and so stressful. And I didn't know how we even got it done. But so when getting the distributor, okay. So I was like, we have a movie, it's done, it's complete. Now that has been accomplished, let's get some bonus points in, and let's try to find a distributor. Um, so I just did I reached out to everybody, just kind of the same thing that I do for everything else, is if I don't know what I'm doing, I ask every single person I know for advice on, hey, this is where I'm at. I know you've worked on films that have gotten distribution. I know that you're also in a similar boat. You just got your movie done. What are you doing? Or that's kind of what I did. I just blasted out to everybody that I knew, and started emailing and going to websites, and just yeah. And then I eventually found someone that connected me with someone that was down to check it out and look. And
Awesome.
yeah, so I mean, that's kind of it. It's just asking for help. So
Exactly.
is the thing. Yeah.
That's very true. It's very important thing to do. Like if you don't know, then just ask. Because you're in a town that is full of creative people, and like it's yeah, definitely asking is a very big part of what we do. Um,
Hmm.
so I'm curious. So that's out. So I always ask directors and people that are filmmakers, is there, we're living in a time where everything is so diverse, and everyone wants to see themselves being portrayed to some level, some capacity on film. Is that a big part of the creative process for you? Do you actually go into a story with the intention of, I want to talk about this kind of, like, I want to put this person, or does it just come later in the casting process?
um for me, the route usually begins with uh the soul of the character, like the
Mhm.
personalities. Like, again, a thing that I guess that I focus my attention more so on at the front end is putting people on the screen that are going through things, that, like, being seen in the space of, oh my gosh, she's having trouble with this thing, and I can
Mhm.
project myself on top of her, versus, oh, she literally looks like me, I now relate to her. Like, I want to relate from the inside.
Mhm.
um is kind of more of where my focus goes. I know that I do have I do have this little thing where I try, uh like, I enjoy representing people on screen that don't look like me specifically. Like, I want to explore like I've done enough exploring of myself, like I want to explore outside of myself. So it's like, okay, bring in these people with backgrounds that are not my background, and then see what that mixture looks like. But as far as like casting goes, that does play enough of a part, in either slightly subconsciously, or I do try to mix it up, I guess, I don't know.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. I always get, people asking me questions of like, sometimes I get people writing in, and I feel like a kind of a sense of responsibility sometimes because of the message is so like super like heart, like they're like hitting your heart. You're like, oh God, I have a responsibility. You feel like you have like this agenda. Well, for me, I like to be I love diversity in everything I do. So I want to put different people in, but I also feel like, I like to tell difference, I don't want it to be about the color, right? I want, or the background of the person. I just want to be like, oh, this just happens to be a Chinese family that is going through a real situation, but put like with something that we're not used to seeing. And I think as a creator, I try to do that more because I see it happening, but I feel like we a little bit have a responsibility because it's like there's so many people that are like, I thank you so much for doing that, and it's like, oh well, that makes me happy, at least that I feel like I'm doing something to push the needle forward, because either that's women being seen more with less sexualized in films versus so I try to do I try to do that, but that's awesome that that's something that you think about. That's cool.
Yeah, well, I would even expand a little bit now. Since doing Insults on the Inside, I have since been writing with a writing partner. And so the writing partner that I decided to partner with, her name is Jamie Keener. And we've written, like, we have a couple of projects in pre-production currently as a team. Nice. And so it was nice I am a man, so getting a writing partner that wasn't also just another dude helps give just those different perspectives. And then we're different age brackets too, so cool. So she's half Korean, nice. So it's just, all right, you have different background, you're a different age, you're a different sex, so trying to, even within development of the material, collaborating with people that can help balance out and offer the different perspectives is definitely big on what we do, because awesome. It's having the in the writing room bounce board of mixing it up. And I know that I lean a lot on her past experiences with, like, she lived in Korea for many years at one point, and like we're telling a lot of more Korean leaning stories, like Korean American leaning stories and whatnot. So just developing, for me, I like, that's super, like, I just love it, because I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I don't like, there's no Korean American faces, like when we're trying to cast for like our lead 20-year-old guy that's Korean, like, how many actors come to mind when you're thinking about casting that, like, right, so let's create it, that's
I love that. I love that. I feel like, and I wish, I hope one day that we see more of, it seems like we're moving to, and that's what the industry is moving in toward, like, to people seeing themselves or being, like, oh, wow, I can actually be a superhero, or like it's a possibility, or I don't know. But I was just curious. Do you feel like, I read this article, and not to stay on this topic too long, but I've read this article about men telling stories, like with lead characters who are women telling a story about like a woman's story. Do you feel like you shouldn't touch that, or get a woman to, hey, you guys should tell this story and I'll fall back, because, or do you think it's okay? Like I'm curious of your
Yeah,
thought.
I've definitely listened to different perspectives on that from like working writers. I mean, I don't, yeah, like writers with more experience, more years in the industry and whatnot, getting the vibe on like what do they think about it? Because I'm like trying to figure it out too. Um,
Yeah.
okay, I guess I don't. I know Jamie and we tried to write a story once where we were writing it about a culture that neither of us were with
Mhm.
it was still an American story, but the lead characters were just of a different background from either of us. So I know when we were reaching out for like, hey, can we were reaching out to other filmmakers that had that background and we're like, hey, can you like, do you mind reading through, making sure we're getting it right? And I know that we did have some pushback on like, why are you telling this, that you're not, the story is not for you to tell. It's like, I know,
Mm.
I don't know if it was that specific community, quote unquote, or
Mhm.
the specific person or why we got that pushback, but that did make us think for sure. I'm
Yeah.
like, wait, like, why is this not like we're trying to do it the right way? We want to get a producer involved with, whatever to make it work. So there's that, and I know that it's a super touchy thing, especially now on but I don't the world that I would love to live in is
Yeah.
like for
Yeah.
me, I feel like I'm an emotional guy. And I do feel like I relate a lot more to my women peers than like the dude macho, like frat hang. Like I don't I can't it's not. So when I enjoy diving into and yeah, plus I want to put women in the forefront too. Like there's just
That's
something
awesome.
because it's not me. Again, I want to explore outside of myself.
That's
So I know
awesome.
for me, I would love to like my curiosity sends me towards who I am not. And I would love
Mm.
to be able to do it the right way and collaborate in other ways, either whether it's the writing or co-directing or bring a producer that can help make sure I'm doing it right. Whatever, like have the backup plan, have the team, and the team as a whole can help tell the story.
Definitely.
And that's my opinion, I guess.
I love that. No, that's refreshing to hear. Um, Definitely. I mean, I come from a background of I originally went to film school and working with a lot of men. It was like I would get the oh sugar, baby. I'm just like, oh stop. I mean, thank you,
It's
but
gross.
no, right now. But it's like, oh, your story is so cute and those kind of things. And so I knew I had to like figure out how do you be taken like
Seriously.
seriously as a woman.
What?
But as
Yeah.
time went on, it got a little better. I think it's a lot better because I from cinematography to like I got into directing and stuff and that was cool because I wanted to tell like I did a martial arts film and then that was it was a bunch of dudes so but I made sure to have like women as like the like the like macho characters or whatever and you're like
Mhm.
but they're feminine but they're sexy but they're also like in charge and then they're just fighting and but also make it like a keep it a balance. But not say I hate men. I love men. Men are great. but
No,
yeah,
yeah,
I
because
I
I was gonna say, yeah, for sure. Well, I guess I don't know. I'm assuming people that are watching or listening are primarily filmmakers, potentially, maybe not,
yeah.
but we understand that left to the film industry's own devices, you're more than likely to end up with a room full of just a bunch of the classic straight white dude rooms where for whatever reason it's just like the tech aspect, the
Uh-huh.
like I don't really quite know specifically why it leans that way, but it takes a little bit of consciousness to break
Yeah.
that up for sure.
Yeah, no, that's true. So I love to ask this question for to every guest that comes on the show, and there's a bunch of people listening that are starting out and that want to know how to that even want to get into this industry. And so my question to you is, what advice would you give, or something that someone gave you over the years that was like, very vital, or what advice would you give to someone that wants to do this, wants to get into directing, or wants to be a supervisor, script supervisor, or actor? What advice would you give to them?
Um, I feel like people, all right, this is going to be the same advice that you've probably heard already before. But I do want to reiterate it, I guess, now that you've given me the chance. The
Please.
answer is okay. Because again, we heard my background already. Like I was in a non-film town, which most people I feel like are in non-film towns. So the objective is to treat it as a craft and to understand, again, like my understanding was I'm not going to be winning an Oscar out of the gate. So let's get some experience under the belt. So whether it is acting, like as an actor, do the baby things of, figure out in your town where they're doing any sort of acting classes for the screen, or if not, just challenge yourself in any way possible. I hear a lot of actors love the experience of the community theater. There's improv. There's tons of avenues for just, again, finding out who you are and what you're comfortable with, and just get comfortable with the uncomfortable too. Because I know, like, I explored improv and it was torture. But I was so afraid of it that I'm like, this is something that I should probably, at least explore and try. And it was tough. As a filmmaker in general, making stuff, just start small. Don't tackle too much out of the gate. Don't write a feature and then try to make that as your first project. Like, I would say, sure, develop the feature, get the script going, but as that's also working, get some people that you're considering to help you on that, to help you on something smaller. And kind of like it's like almost like an interview process where it's like, I would love to work with this director of photography or this actor. Let's shoot something small this weekend for, like, let's take 6 hours and shoot a thing. And then you can build that rapport. They can get invested in you. You can get invested in them. And it's just the supporting each other, that the aspect that I love. Start small, make it doable, because it feels great to get stuff done. There's like almost no better feeling of accomplishing a goal and making something creative with your friends. So just make stuff. just make the stuff. That secondary goal, I would say, is make the stuff, and then whether you like it or not, almost, is put it out into the world. Like, I know the Reno Film Collective has a YouTube channel that still exists. The community kind of, without me being there, unfortunately, like the amount of work that I was doing, it kind of fell apart and broke apart, and people started doing their own stuff. But the channel still exists. Regardless, we were putting every project out into the world that we finished. We were sharing it to our accounts. It's like, watch this, because I think there is a joy for fans of you to see your growth. So it's like, here's my first project, and then when you make the next one, it's like, oh my gosh, this is actually pretty good. And then the next one's like, oh my gosh, no, this is really, it's people love watching the journey. So include others.
Absolutely. I love that. No, that's great advice. That's awesome. Oh, that's great. Also, where can people, before I get into that, do you have anything that you're working on that you would like to tell people about that's listening, or to look out for?
Sure. Well, yeah, I directed 2 features this last year, in addition to add to my, so those are currently in post-production. They're getting close. I don't know. One's currently called, I don't know if it's going to change. Who knows? I don't know how titles work. One's currently called Chama Days. Chama was the little village town that I grew up in. So towards the
Nice.
end of COVID, I took a bunch of people out to New Mexico, to essentially my hometown, and we made one out there, and that was beautiful. And that one is the current peak of the humor and drama and everything that I've learned up until that point. So I'm excited for that to kind of be done and get out. And then another one's like a romantic comedy, very cute little story. But
Aw.
keep up on my Instagram, whatever. Do that.
Yay. Yeah, where can people follow you on social media and find you?
Instagram. My name is on the Zoom here. I don't know if people are watching the video, but Eddie Vigil V. The V is the Roman numeral for the 5th. Vigil spelled like Vigil. It's all complicated. Good luck.
No, that's awesome. I really want to get into really quickly to following your podcast. You have an amazing show where you interview tons of amazing talented people, and also it's really cool because you could see you on the video, like just chilling and being the cool man that you are.
Yeah, thanks.
Interviewing, I love it. But yeah, check it out, and that's on all the podcast platforms too, right?
The show, quote unquote, is called the Eddie Conversation Podcast. So yeah, it's on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and the video version is available on my YouTube, so you can find it all there. It's been very fun.
Woohoo! What episode are you in right now?
The latest released was 51, episode 51. So I know, like, you do the seasons. I'm just like, forget seasons. I'm just gonna rack up the number. I want to get to 1,000 or whatever. We'll see.
You will. You definitely will. That's congratulations on your show, and that's great show. Fantastic show.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on. This is awesome talking to you.
Thanks for having me. Lovely.
Thank you. Well, everyone, what a fantastic episode yet again. Until next time, always remember to live, love, laugh. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.